In this video, we're going to talk about using XY scatter plots, which I find to be very useful in R. So I'm going to start with a fresh script, and we're going to use the teams data from Lamin. So I'm just going to give myself a comment that I'm creating a graphing script for XY scatter plots. The main tool we'll be using here is sort of one thing we want to keep in mind for ggplot is geom point. So let's do it. Let's set our working directory to where we have the Lamin database. So in my case, I have it in Lamin 21, baseball data bank core. Open that. See from my console, I'm going to copy that into my script. Before that, I should probably load the tidyverse. ggplot's part of the tidyverse, and I'm going to use that. So let's get started. I'm going to read in the teams data. And the teams data has things like, hits and home runs and all that. And what I want to do here is I want to create a graph that shows the trends of home runs per year. And so let's read in teams, and we'll use our pipe operator, Control-Shift-M, and we'll filter for year ID greater than 1949. So let's run that. Notice there's my teams. I can open it up, and I can see every team since 1950 here, because I screen for after, and I see how many home runs for after, and I see how many home runs each team. And I want a graph, a scatter plot, and I want a graph, a scatter every year, and all the every year, home runs. All the teams home runs. So let's do this. Let's create a ggplot. So let's do this. Let's create a ggplot. And in my ggplot, the first thing I can either say data. The first thing I can either say data. Or just type in teams. Or just type in teams. That's the first variable. ggplot knows that's the first variable. Next, we have to give it an aesthetic. Aesthetic is next we have to give it an aesthetic. Aesthetic is what we're trying to plot. In this case, year ID. X equals year ID. Y equals y equals home run. I'm going to do that. Put a plus sign. I'm going to do that. And put a plus sign. Point function. On the geom point function. And boom. I've got every. I've got teams, every home runs. Teams home runs every year. Okay, kind of interesting. Let's put some titles on it. Kind of interesting. Let's put some titles on it. Let's do some stuff like that. So maybe the first thing that I'm going to put on. So maybe the first thing that I'm going to put on here is a smoothing line. And the geom smooth, the geom smooth will. We can talk about some of the details later. We can talk about some of the details later, but it puts a kind of locally weighted. We could specify some of the geom. We could specify some of the geom. Specify a regression line. We can specify a regression line. Then it would try to fit a straight line. Some of the more recent terms. This weight some of the more recent points around in particular more points around in particular more heavy. So we get this smooth line, kind of give us a smooth line, kind of give us the trend. What's going on with team home runs? What's going on with? So we kind of see a general trend. It went up a little bit. We kind of see a general trend. It went up a little bit. Kind of fairly steady rise. Kind of fairly steady rise up until present. So let's go ahead and put titles on here. So let's go ahead and put titles on here. Adding to our graphs. We'll keep adding to our graphs. So we'll put a GG title. Home runs by each team per year. Team per year. Let's put on an X label. Let's put on an X label. Year and a year. Y label. Y label. Home runs. So now we've got a little more complete graph. A little more complete graph. We can take a look at it. I've got a title. We can take a look at it. I've got a title. Y label. X label. Every team's Y label. Every team's home runs. Smoothing line over time, and then a smoothing line through the middle.